Hello and welcome everyone, my name is Madals and this is another StarCraft 2 England cast. Now guys, today I've got a ladder game. It is between Depression, the Pink Protoss player rather, in the lower right position. He's up against ClassicRmrK, who is the purple Protoss in the top left. Now, those of you who may not recognize this map, it's called Vector, and well, it is a pretty awesome map, and the reason I'm casting this game actually is because I have it on good authority that it's a PvP and it goes on to be a bit of an epic macro game. So I am super stoked about that because so many PvPs seem to end under the kind of 15-minute mark, so I'll be glad to see how this goes. Now, really, in terms of while the openings are going out, I'm just going to do a little walk around of this map for you guys. Now, as you can see, it's a bit of an unusual map. For a start, you've got a lot of area up the top here. The ramp, quite close actually, down here, so that could lead into some interesting things, especially kind of middle line harassment and things like that. Should be able to get in. In terms of dead space, none at all around the back and really towards the main base in the natural way. Up the top though, there is some dead space here, so drops can come in, so we're waiting to see if that plays in. Natural base, fairly easy to defend, to be honest. You've got a very, very tight choke, well, not very tight, but quite a tight choke point there on the level, so that's fine. And well, a bit of dead space at the back, so drops maybe into the natural are a possibility. You then come around here and you get into a very, very interesting third base. I love this third base design because you've got the two entrances to it, which mean the really kind of a wall-off approach or anything like that can be very, very difficult to do, and it's going to require a lot of static army, etc. So can't wait to see how that plays out. If this was against the Zerg player, I'd say this would super favour Zerg, just because, well, there's a huge amount of space here. Force fields wouldn't work too well, and multi-prong attacks would just be so easy, especially if you're in the cross-map positions, because you can just send half of your army each way and quite comfortably just come and sandwich up in the middle. So again, that's a bit of an interesting quirk, but in a mirror matchup it doesn't matter too much. Then you really start thinking about fourth base as well. Again, you've got a funky fourth base down here in the top and bottom, and over here as well, where it's kind of like, I believe these minerals completely wall off. There's not much there at all. You can apparently knock those two out with only 42 minerals there, but this is pretty funky indeed, and I can't wait to see how that all works. That could add some really funky dynamics into this game. Obviously, you've got both of the fourth bases like that, so any access to the rich Vespian guides are there. So again, some funky stuff going on this map. It's really quite exciting. I like looking at kind of a bit more unusual maps. But let's have a look at kind of the build order. Double gas out of Depression. That's saying tech. Out of ClassicRmrK, well, we of course have got the gateway. This side will call up just one gas, so double gateway against single gate with double gas. So again, things are looking pretty good. It's a really big map as well. 4 watchtowers. It is just a lot of space. The middle, it's, I believe, completely rotationally symmetrical, I believe. Looking at it briefly, it looks to be. And obviously space-wise, big scouting rush distances and everything like that. So can't wait to see how this map's used. Obviously it's not a typically used map, so it should be really, really interesting. I like the design of it as well, some kind of lava, some arc lightning and that sort of stuff. So all very, very fun. Now, basically taking a look around here, we've got, of course, the robotic facility coming out, so that's a tech-heavy kind of play from the double gas that allows you to get that down. The double gateway just means you're being slightly more aggressive / safe. On this map, you're not going to be that aggressive at the end of the day because it's huge. It's absolutely massive, and as a result of that, you can't. Early aggressive builds are never going to work. It's a macro map by far. You can't even. I don't know how the spawn positions work. I would assume that it's not forced cross spawn, and as a result, that therefore means that obviously rushes just don't work. The thing I really like about this map, though, has to be this kind of double opening to the third. That is just unique and awesome and probably quite imbalanced, but that's fine. That doesn't matter. I mean, who cares about that? This is just a fun game. Now, looking here, of course, the counter's coming down on one of the gateways there. That's quite surprising. The second gate only just out now. An Immortal on its way down. Obviously, the Observer on its way out. Neither player expanded yet, although it looks like Remark is about to chuck his down. There he goes. There's the Nexus. So everything pretty much fine. Depression will now start to build up a bit more of an army. He's got the tech lead as well, but Remark will start to pull ahead in terms of the economy, which is obviously great for the mid and late game. Both players are going to be pretty passive, actually, most of this game at the moment. There goes the robotics facility, just finishing up there for Remark. So he is catching up tech-wise. He's getting that third gateway down. That's against the 2 gateways of Depression for the moment. And Well, it looks like we're not actually going to get too much more going on for the moment. So let me just say, guys, if you do like my casting, please do subscribe. I get new games up every single day of the week. Leave cool comments about the games, the players, the casts, anything at all. That'd be awesome. And like the video. That would also be great. And the one thing I do want to ask is, if you've got any games of your own, of any level, any league, please email them into sc2england@hotmail.co.uk. I cast a subscriber game a couple of days ago. The lower the level, the more analysis tips and things I'll do it for. The higher the level, the more I'll shoutcast it, and really that'll just be amazing. I want to get more interaction with you guys, so do feel free to send in any games you've got that you think are particularly cool. Now, looking here, of course, we do have yet another gateway coming down here for Remark, so that takes him up to 4 gates with a robo. He's got his natural base up, the natural base for depression on its way. He's also getting up his robotics base, so it's going to be starting to tech up to Colossus, which good move. Late game tech, everything's really fine. They are still both really passive. I mean, I don't think there's been anything lost yet. 37 resources from Depression, that was just from cancelled gateway. The third and fourth gas already chucked down there for Depression. For Remark, he's not chucked down any more gas yet. Pretty much happy just getting out Immortals for the moment. So I'm thinking we should see some aggression fairly soon. We've got, obviously, the Observers poking and prodding around. I'm not sure, actually, if Depression has gone into his opponent's base. He has. He's seen pretty much everything with that. The Robotics Bay now coming down from Mark, so he's going up to Colossus Tech as well. So, really, both these players going for very, very similar build orders. Now, I don't actually think this third base will be taken too soon. Purely because it's PvP, you don't tend to see the third bases too quickly. It's also very, very exposed, which can be awkward and annoying. So, the other interesting thing to note as well is just the positioning of most of this army. As you can see, a lot of the army, all of the army really for Remark, just sitting comfortably back defending this natural base, whereas as you see for Depression rather, for Remark, he's got these stalkers just watching the 2 rams, so maybe giving himself a bit more of an early warning system, which can be good because then you can chuck down the force field should you need to. Looking here, with Depression, he's getting up a second robotic facility. That's going to really help him pump out those Colossi should he want them. He's got extended thermal lance on the way. His first Colossus is just on its way out now. The first Colossus for Remark only just starting now, so really there's the difference in the tech. The third and fourth gas are down, of course, now for Remark as well. And, well, still a very, very passive game at the moment, and I think it's going to stay that way for quite a while because with such a big distance, both players are pretty much going to macro their way up to, I'd imagine, nearly a full army. The only thing I am a bit disappointed to see is we haven't seen any drop tech really utilised, because there is this area where you could get some nice drops down, and that could be one way to utilise early pressure in this matchup on this map. So again, just something that perhaps anyone who plays on this map could think about doing. We do now have a Stargate coming out for a Mark. That could actually be pretty funky. Just with the extra mobility, we do of course have double Stargate now, so woo, this is fun times. And the Observer has been picked up. I don't think it even saw that. No, it didn't. So those Stargates are completely unscouted at the moment, and that's just the difference in tech at the moment. Of course, the Colossi count is really starting to ramp up for Depression. He's got the Forge out at the moment, so he's going to be starting those upgrades a lot before his opponent. Looking here, the Forge for Remark just on its way out now, so quite a bit later for the moment. I'm not sure if either player's got any Observer in the opponent's base. No, they don't for the moment. We do have a probe here though for Depression. Maybe we're going to see a proxy pile, and we've got a move out with third getting taken. And now what I'm really interested to see is where these units are going to sit. I'd sit them pretty much central. Try and utilise this kind of smoke area. Obviously, if units come up behind, you can dart them back and forth across that smoke, which could be really quite potent, give you an extra hit. We've got the +1 Protoss air weapons on the way out for Remark. He's starting to get some Phoenix as well, getting them out of the double Stargate, so Phoenix production going to ramp up. Phoenix very, very fast. You can do some good harassment with that, so can't wait to see how this all goes out, and really how effective it's going to be. And actually the Stalker number really quite low for Depression. He's only got 2 Stalkers on the field, so he's going to really, really struggle to deal with that air attack. And now a third base in a bit of an unlikely position. I'm surprised this third base was taken, but it is hidden, it's out of the way, and there's no real reason for Depression to go over there unless one of his Observers do come up. And of course the scout path for Depression hasn't been over that way at all. He has pulled some units back at times just to check for it, and apparently a bit of lag and things like that there, so obviously that's not going to affect the game because neither player is really doing anything micro-intensive at the moment. These Phoenix numbers getting really high, and obviously with the +1 Protoss air weapons, which will coincide with the attack, no doubt, they will be dealing an awful lot of damage and may be able to pick off an awful lot of probes. Both players up really high in the probe count, and I have to say this map is probably verging on the slightly too large side, is the only criticism I would have of it, because both players are just being so passive. Yes, you could perhaps be a bit more aggressive on it, but I feel it's just a bit too big maybe, and as a result, you get a long period of time with not much happening, but of course that'll be to quite a lot of people's liking. They much prefer macro games. So let me know in the comment section, do you prefer big maps like this which force super macro engagements, or do you want something else? And that pylon for Depression spots all of the Phoenix. Oh my god, did Depression notice that? I really hope he did, because otherwise he's about to get a massive shock. 3 more gateways in production. We do have a charge on the way as well for those zealots. Meanwhile, 2 voidways on the way out, 1 already on the field. Well, this is going to be mass air attack, and just so many Colossi right there, and still just the 2 Stalkers. You could almost lift those Stalkers and then just go to town on everything else, but probes are going to be the target, and just this entire mineral line is going to get completely annihilated, and there's pretty much nothing you can do about it right now. Just all of these probes going down. It's just a case of waiting for the Phoenix to run out of energy pretty much, which unfortunately is quicker than you may like. For the moment, no more Stalkers, just 2 more have been added in, but more Warp Gates now converting, which of course means the Stalker count will probably start flying up, really in response to seeing that many Phoenix. The Voidways, though, they are building up in numbers as well. This is just going to be Deathball v Deathball, which is always fun to watch and quite micro-intensive, but the way you really combat Deathball v Deathball is multi-prong attacks, dropping and things like that. Now the Phoenix are coming in, but of course a couple of Stalkers there. How many Stalkers are we up to now? 9, so that is unfortunately quite a lot. But once those Voidways start coming over as well, which eventually I'm sure they will start adding quite a lot more firepower to this. Remark, he's got a very balanced army. That's the only criticism I may have of Depression, is he's gone very, very heavy on the Colossi. 9 Colossi are pretty much the majority of his army right now, which against a heavy air force is not going to be too effective. We do of course have the Templar Archives on their way out. Remark is trying to take a hidden base down here, but a big walking of Zealots from Depression's hidden pylon there forces a cancel, so that is a bit frustrating, but a good example of these multi-prong attacks. The Phoenix are there, but will they waste energy on lifting Zealots? They probably will, and they'll pick them up very, very quickly indeed. So this is always just units for free, which you can never complain about free units, because it means you engage cost effectively. And as you can see here, Remark engaging incredibly cost effectively at the moment. He's also getting out a lot more Voidways. You can see here the mining in the center has gone down, and I'm not really sure how you play this, to be honest. You could put like another guy's down there, but Depression, he's got that pylon, which could end up with some interesting stuff. He's also moving his entire army around, gonna go and focus that base down for sure, and I just don't think the Remark's gonna be able to get there in time to deal with this. The Colossi are just gonna come in and just obliterate that mineral line. They could even just walk up there and fry it all off and then just run away, which could very well be the case. And look at that, look at all the probes die. Oh my god, that was a mass probe attack, and that was basically a stealth Colossus attack, which was super effective. And the Colossus just now like, we killed everything and ran away. In terms of the probe count though, looking here, that has put Remark behind quite a long way now. He is trying to take this base now, so that'll be his 4th, but obviously just such a big loss. The only advantage really is that he's got the British Vespine Geyser, but now this base is going to go down so hard. And those Colossi are 2-1. The Phoenix poking in, and upgrades for Remark are 0-0 with a 1 in shield. 3 ground, plus 2 ground armor, plus 3 ground weapons on their way. The Voidway's absolutely going down, and here's a massive death ball engagement, and as you can see, just damage being done everywhere, but it looks like actually Depression does not have enough to deal with that air force, and those Colossus are just getting taken down so quickly. The Stalker's even getting lifted up, and now this is all going to get taken down, and there's just nothing here at all at the moment for Depression to deal with this. All the Colossus are going to get taken down, and this is absolutely bonkers, and this is really why you love random maps where no one really has any idea what kind of strategy they're going to go for, because you get mass skill array, because skill arrays are good. And now both players have pretty much lost all of their armies, except of course for Remark, who's still got a massive air force, but has lost most of his workers and is now saying it's 63 army to 14, but his worker count is significantly lower, so that's quite fun. Meanwhile, these Phoenix, they're coming to incite revenge, but we do of course have these High Templar. Their storm is not quite done yet. The cannon, unfortunately, not in the right position to deal with getting loads of probes picked up. There's a couple more kills. How many probes have been killed by both players? Pretty similar actually, but in come the skill rates. Those lovely High Templar aren't going to be able to deal with them very effectively, and they're just going to be able to focus down bases like they are knives through butter. And well, this is going to go down exceptionally quickly, and this game is just pretty funky. But there goes down a very, very nice storm. Void Rays, the one problem with all air units is they do stack up, so you need to split your army apart so those storms aren't that effective. But as you can see, storms going down absolutely every other Void Ray thing in there, and so many High Templar there at the moment. Just a great counter aggression out of Depression. Needs to, well, Remarkers needs to clear out a lot of more stuff. But another storm goes down, one Void Ray falls. Quite a lot of Void Rays getting very, very low on health right now. But most of the High Templars were lifted there. So great play by Remark at the moment, who's now just finishing off all of the bases. But Stalkers warping in absolutely everywhere. Needs to be careful with these Void Rays going in one at a time. Needs to really focus on the Stalkers ASAP. That is the only way he's going to be able to deal with this army. But the Stalkers just picking stuff off systematically, and I'm amazed the rest of these Void Rays aren't coming in to help deal with them, because that is the biggest threat to this army right now, are those Stalkers, which is doing so much damage. The Void Rays have managed to pick off the third base, but there is one that Depression prepared earlier. More Stalkers warping in, and now with the Void Ray numbers starting to dwindle, I can't help but fear the Remark is going to lose this game now. Blink is finished, of course. He's leaving too many Void Rays just out on their own, allowing them to get picked off incredibly quickly by these Stalkers for very minimal losses. And while the natural base is getting focused, those Void Rays are now charged. They need to be so careful with how they engage, because obviously unless they start picking up those Stalkers incredibly quickly, it's all going to go wrong. The Void Ray numbers now down to 3. This is all looking like it could end very, very shortly, but the Stalkers also getting cleaned up. 2 Void Rays left, 1 Void Ray left, and there is the reinforcements, and that is probably going to be the nail in the coffin. I don't really see any way now that Remark can come back from this. Yes, he's got this base up and is natural, but he is still just on the same number of mining bases as his opponent, and his army has been crushed, but their supply is very, very similar actually. The worker count slightly ahead for Depression right now, and we are definitely in funky game category. The 4th base in the center getting taken again by Depression now, or the 3rd, whichever way you want to look at it now. Looking here, we do have, well, upgrades completely maxed out for Depression, and that's what's made a big difference, are those upgrades, because really just the one air upgrades with the +1 shields, which is called universal across all Protoss units. So yeah, this is a pretty unusual game for the moment, you could definitely say. So I'm interested to see how either player is going to be able to end this, because they've both kind of gone up to sitting quite passively at the moment. The Phoenix are going to still try and be quite aggressive, can probably go and get some lips off on these Zealots, just again, 3 units, why not? In terms of the loss tab, Depression hasn't been engaging as cost effectively as his opponent, losing what will be after this roughly about 3,000-ish more resources than his opponent, and that is never really that great. Even if you are ahead in mining, you don't want to be losing that much in terms of how cost effective you're being. You always want to be more cost effective, but this is all pretty interesting. I mean, if Remark lost this game now, I'd say it was all down to the fact at this point that he left his Void Rays spread out on their own, allowing them to get picked off by the Stalkers, even after the threat of High Templar storms were gone. So this is actually quite a tough game to call, because they both kind of reset to the same point. They both kind of got to endgame army. They're both taking expansions. Remark needs to really think about matching his opponent in expansions, though, because as you can see here, Depression is taking his 5th base, whereas Remark, he's sitting there comfortably on 4. You never want to be a whole mining base behind. It's just suicide. In terms of the game, well, obviously there's going to have to be another big engagement. Now, I may speed this up a bit, because they've both got all of their tech, so nothing else can really happen for the moment. So I'm just putting this on a faster time speed for the fear that nothing much is happening in this engagement at the moment. But here we go, we've got another move across the map. Is this going to materialize into anything? We'll wait and see. Perhaps it will. They're just looping around, and this is good use of the map. The map does have lots of different loop angles, checking for all of the different possible base positions. But here we go. We're going to have another one of those Stealth Colossus attacks, which are never fun. Oh, the probes! Oh, the probes! The probes, they're all dying. Oh dear. That is bad times when all the probes die. And, well, for the moment, Remark, he's pushing forward. He's trying to defend, but the second he moves out, I fear he's going to get absolutely crushed, because he is quite behind in terms of the work of the supply count. Also, he is still heavily invested in air units, but a lot more Stalkers in Depression's army right now, so he's in a good spot. And it looks like Remark's going to move out at precisely the worst time, and now Depression, he's going to go in. Even if this ends up in a base race situation, Depression would win that, just due to the fact that he's got more hard-hitting units in there, and, well, he's starting to clear everything out. He's going to pick off this center base, and now it's going to be a case of Remark having to fight up the ramp to defend, and that is never ever fun. We've got so many probes getting picked off, trying to get good position. A better arc down there for the moment, though. Remark is getting hit by massive storms, though. These storms are absolutely brilliant. Depression kiting backwards through all of those Cyanoid storms, and this is just absolutely brilliant play for the moment. This engagement is absolutely funky. Those Colossus getting some good numbers of hits on them, and, well, they're getting some good numbers of kills as well. Those High Templar, though, really were the deciding battle. Remarks, Archon's getting knocked down, and this is definitely looking to be going in Depression's favour, and as you can see, he is just slowly managing to pick everything off. There's the GG well played from ClassicRmrK, and that was the end of what was a very weird game. Let me know what you thought of that. Do you like me casting these slightly peculiar matches, or would you rather I stick to the more standard? Let me know in the comment section below. But most importantly, guys, I hope you did enjoy. If you could subscribe, that'd be great, and like the video, that'd be awesome. But either way, I'll see you tomorrow for yet another new cast. Thank you very much for watching, and bye for now.